Now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, welcome in. This is the Consumer Quarterback Show. I am the backup QB, Anthony Pugliese. Okay, I am the executive producer here, filling in for Brandon while he takes a little vacation. We still got a good show for you today, very informative, helping you win in any marketplace. I got a couple guests in here today. First guest, I have Abraham Moussa, president of Total Title Solutions. How we doing?
Great. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, anytime, man. I love having you in here.
Seriously, I can't believe you guys keep inviting me.
Yeah, you know, we run out of options sometimes and just throw you in there. We also have William Crowley in the house, a.k.a. the Credit Magician, working for National Credit Restoration Assistance.
Hey, I'm back and ready to go, baby.
So, you know, William, with the National Credit Restoration Assistance, it's a good way for a lot of people to pull back out from essentially a hole that they thought they'd never dig out of. What made you actually want to get into that?
I've been in the lending industry for, I guess, a number of years, and seeing a lot of people when they come in, you know, people always say the first thing they say is that, hey, I didn't know that was on my credit report. Or that's not mine, and I was never late, and all kinds of excuses. Then I ran into a company at the time called International Credit Repair, and they were saying that people probably are right, but they don't know exactly how to, I guess, scientifically approach it. So they told us to read the Fair Credit Reporting Act. All lenders should be familiar with the Fair Credit Reporting Act because it's there to help their consumers,
right? You
know, to deal with certain issues that are on the report and to be able to, you know, be proactive in dealing with some of that stuff. But the lenders, it's to their advantage that they're familiar with the Fair Credit Reporting Act so they can, extend that information to their clients and let the clients know. But being in lending, I wasn't even familiar with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, so I was kind of kicking myself in the butt when I heard this company telling me that, you know, as a lender, what do you know about the Fair Credit Reporting Act? This can help turn around a lot of those clients that have negative issues on their credit, no matter how it got there. Right. So it was great for me to hear that, and so when I read it, it was amazing.
I do know it used to be a lot harder to know, actually. Like you were saying, a lot of people, I didn't know that was on my credit. You know, now there's plenty places to go to check your credit.
Right.
The government passed a thing where they have to, I think it's every 6 months, correct? Where
right.
Every 6 months.
It depends on the state, but for the most part, you get a 12-month access to a free credit report. There's the number of them out there, but I tell people usually either annualcreditreport.com, Credit Karma, or Credit Check Total. Now, Credit Check Total, there's going to be a fee if you go past the 7-day trial, but most of them are, they give out good information.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to say it's excellent information. It's good information, but I tell people don't ever pay too much attention to the scores.
Well, it is a good way, essentially, for them to go in and go, oh, okay, there is something on there I didn't know was there, or there is something that I want to dispute as far as on my credit report. Now I can go, essentially, to you to show me what I need to do to get it right.
That was that's exactly right. So there's no excuse now. So everybody should have access to one of these free credit agencies or one of these low cost credit reporting agencies where they can get the information ahead of time. And then you can take the necessary action to straighten out your credit. I tell people never go in front of the lender with bad credit. Look at your credit first, and then you can make a determination on what you need to address before you go in front of that lender. Because it makes the consumer look bad. You're not prepared. You're trying to get a loan and you didn't know that this information was on your credit.
Right. Yeah.
So
most
for sure.
Most credit card companies I've seen lately, though, they're providing a free credit report to you just by being one of their members, like Chase, Bank of America. They're all offering actually free credit reports.
Well, I think once one company does it, they're all eventually going to jump on board. Yeah. So American Express, for example, says, hey, we'll give you a free credit report. And people were like, oh, wow, I really want to know about that. Because that is something that recently, and by recently, the last few years or so, people have been getting more and more interested in is actually viewing their credit report.
Right. But also I'd like to say that those free online websites for credit reports, they aren't that accurate, especially the score, okay? You could print that out and have a score of 700 with Credit Karma. You walk into a dealer or a lender, they're going to pull their own report because they know that these reports aren't that accurate.
Well, me and you had that conversation actually the last time you were in here. As I brought mine up, and I was like, "Whoa, that score looks a little different than what I was expecting." You need to check this out for me.
Right. So it could be a 50 to 150 point swing in either direction.
Wow.
You know,
and that's a huge difference, especially when you're talking to get a loan for anything, a car, a house, anything.
So I just, I tell people just use them to, kind of get a snapshot of where you think you're at. Okay. But it gives you enough information where you can take the necessary action to do whatever you got to do. But I think the biggest problem is the score. I think the information matches up, but the score is the one that's the real problem. And they've been recently sued. I think it was Equifax and TransUnion that was sued earlier this year because they were giving these free sites were giving out totally different scores than what the lenders had with their internal scoring system.
Well, why did people go after the credit agencies themselves rather than the place they were pulling the score from?
Because the credit agency is the one that's giving them the information. They're getting that information from the credit agency. Okay. And so the credit agencies were the one they were giving different information. Okay. And especially that score. Okay. And it really threw people off because you could have the same content on both reports, the one that the credit reporting agency gives to the lenders and the one they give to the consumer. But then the scoring was different. And then when you're going to get the loan, it's like they're grading on a whole different criteria.
Abe, how often have you seen something like that? Somebody start going through the process of buying a house and thinking they're, have no problems. They go and find a house that they really like without getting pre-approved, which I know on this program they've talked a lot about getting pre-approved and how important it is. But then, for example, me seeing, I have a 725 credit score, and then going to actually get that approval and the deal falling through because your score is not what you thought it was.
Many things can cause the deal to go through, but there is a misconception between pre-approval and pre-qualification. Pre-qualification is one thing to say, okay, I'm able to pay my bills based on what I just told my loan officers, but after all, it has to go through the pre-approval process. And I've seen deals, actually, and this is literally happens in real life because of the credit score you're talking about. So my score was, let's say, 700 the night before, and I'm good. I'm going to close the deal tomorrow. It's fantastic. And then I got so excited. I go buy this big TV from Best Buy, and I finance it. And bam, I dropped my credit score down, and then the deal's canceled. Literally, this have happened at the table.
Well, I mean, I know that there's a lot of talk, too, about if you're going to make a big purchase, for example, a car or a house, not to throw your money around when it's around that time. And that's exactly like what you're saying, because it adjusts your credit score and could change the outcome of you getting that said house or a car.
That is absolutely right. You really should not do that. Spend any of your money prior to that. You should be basically have a clean sheet and don't put any speck of liquid or anything on it when you're trying to buy a house. I do have a question for William, though. I've heard this. I've read this morning two different articles, but one says, in particular related to the credit score, that liens, judgment, and medical bills are going to be excluded from scoring. Is that true?
I tell people this all the time. The Fair Credit Reporting Act was created by Congress in 1970, and I'm still in business today because the credit reporting agency just refused to abide by those laws. Any new laws that come into the industry, I tell people take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, the credit reporting agencies are supposed to abide by these particular laws, but do they really? They don't. That's the problem. They don't. Even like you said, the liens and judgments and what collect medical
and medical bills, they want them excluded from there. Yeah.
Yeah, they're supposed to be removing them. First of all, if you look at the Fair Credit Reporting Act, they're not supposed to be putting them on there in the first place until they verify it with the consumer. Yet and still, since 1970, the information, not even mysteriously, the information has appeared on people's credit reports on a daily, hourly basis. So if they're not abiding by the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which has been in existence for over 30, 40 years, then a new law is nothing to them as well. So I tell the consumer, you must be proactive, checking your credit report on a daily basis, regardless of what these new laws that have developed, because people can't keep up with the new laws. So just use the Fair Credit Reporting Act and use that to enforce keeping your credit report up to par. So when I say that, I'm talking about You said liens, judgments, medical collections. Nothing should be on the credit report until the credit reporting agency verifies it with the consumer. And nobody out there that's listening today has been contacted by a credit reporting agency. You never have, and you never will, because they're not going to abide by that law. So that's why I've been in business for over 20 years, cleaning up people's credit, because the credit reporting agencies refuse to abide by old laws, new laws, and the upcoming laws
to cut small costs for them.
Right. So it's interesting that they came up with that. But even I could go on and on about this, but they've got another thing.
We got an hour. Go ahead.
You said about the inquiries on there. Inquiries, once again, before the credit reporting agency, when the credit reporting agency receives it, prior to putting it on your report, they must contact the consumer, make sure that the consumer did actually initiate that inquiry. They haven't done that, okay? But the inquiries do have an impact on that score. So when you go to closing or whatever, and you financed that TV screen or whatever the case may be, the credit reporting agency has violated the law by putting it on there, so the person can still get it off. But I know at the time of closing, it's like, okay, well, that lowered your score. We're going to have to back off and come back at a later date, I guess.
But that's kind of double whammy. I've always disagreed with that stupid thing. Okay, so I'm shopping for a car, I'm shopping for a house, I'm shopping for this. And then every time I pull a report, I mean, right now, like as a business person, everything I do falls back on my personal guarantees. So there is millions of inquiries on my credit report, because every time we sign something, it's on me personally. I don't think an inquiry should be against your credit score. That's crap.
What even about like a temporary drop? Something that's not going to last. Usually I know that I heard anytime you checked into your credit score or anything like that, you lose a point right off the bat.
Well, it's 2 points minimum.
2 points minimum?
Between 2 to 10 points per inquiry per pull.
Okay, so, I mean...
That's even if he's personally pulling his own credit?
No, that's a hard inquiry only. There's a soft inquiry and a hard inquiry.
Okay.
Soft inquiries are usually promotional pulls. The hard inquiry is what the consumer initiates. Supposedly, that's what deducts points on a score. When I'm doing the credit restoration for people, I go after both promotional inquiries or soft and hard inquiries.
Okay.
Because I just don't trust the credit reporting agencies. They don't do anything right. They don't follow any laws, and all this information out there. It's just that they're not going to follow it. So the consumer has to enforce it. So I help the consumers to enforce their rights.
Very good.
Fair credit reporting.
Let's put a pin in that for a second. I do want to have a shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service who sponsored this segment. They do a great job cleaning up Brandon's real estate properties. It's a 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed by the Maids Cleaning Service. They are referred for a reason. Again, if you're just tuning in, I am Anthony Pugliese, filling in for Brandon Rhymes, here with Abe Moussa and William Crowley. And we'll be back with you right after this.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
Welcome back, Consumer Quarterback Show. I am Anthony Pugliese, filling in for the Brandon Rhymes. Got a little entertainment there coming back from the break with a nice little dance there by William Crowley.
And my
Appreciate
mic was
that.
off too.
I thought it was the accent. That's why he wasn't responding to me or something. But
I was saying, huh?
He was in the zone. I'd like to give a shout out to Michael Lisinko. He is our safe money coach and financial advisor here for the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's a fiduciary and an expert in all types of investing options. You can text REVIEW to 813-670-7372 for a free checkup from the neck up on your retirement plan. Again, text REVIEW to 813-670-7372 and make sure your nest egg is in good hands. So when we went to break, we were pretty deep into a credit discussion about a couple different changes going on. And one of the things that I wanted to actually bring up to you is about the liens. They're saying they're going to take liens off of counting against your credit score. But the way I look at it is I can afford to pay for this car. Okay, let's say I can afford to pay for this Kia, this $20,000 Kia, for example. But if you don't know that I have that lien, what's stopping me for getting another car that I can't afford, two cars, but now can I get them on my with that issue?
You talking about the liens? You talking about a car or a lien? When you say a lien, the lien is like a negative issue on the credit report.
Okay, it's not just a loan against it.
But it's a loan against it, but there's a whole.
But you've defaulted on it already.
Yeah, I'm talking about default.
Default judgment.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was under the wrong impression there.
That's good. Good dumb question. I like that.
That's what I'm here for. I'm full of dumb questions.
Right. Okay, but let me try to work with you here on this. But
it's an uninformed question.
Be quiet, Abe. I can hear you now.
All right.
Hey,
I got my mic
on
up
now.
But anyway, on the collectors work like this, okay? And that's how a lot of items turn into liens and judgments on your credit report, because it's a debt that a person's been released of when the original creditor charges the debt off. Now, of course, the consumer initiates it by non-payment, usually after 90 to 180 days. Then the account charges off, okay? The original creditor will no longer contact anyone because everyone has been released of the obligation to the debt, because the charge-off means that the creditor got insurance write-off, tax write-off, or whatever the case may be. Nevertheless, just keep in mind, just know for sure that the debt's satisfied because the original creditor discontinues communication.
Okay.
But then, lo and behold, they put the original creditor puts the paper on the market, which is actually kind of a shady area because the debt's been satisfied through the charge-off. They can't turn around and sell this paper, but they're doing that. Now, when the consumer is alerted that, look, it's come to our attention that you owe Bank of America $5,000. They've charged it off. Bank of America's not calling you anymore. I'm representing you. I'm representing them.
Okay.
They're not really representing them. What they've done is bought the debt, and they're playing with words, okay? And then they send you documentation saying, hey, listen, it's come to our attention that you owe the original creditor $5,000. We're here to collect on that. Then they have down at the bottom, kind of smaller print, if you wish to dispute the validity of this debt, you may do so within 30 business days.
They don't want you to see that, though.
Right. They don't want you to see that, because then you're saying, well, why would I dispute a debt that's mine? Because they know that the debt doesn't really belong to you because it's been charged off by the original creditor. So they're CYAing. I don't know if I can say it on the radio, but they're CYAing, if you know what that means, covering their asset. So the collectors come at the debtors aggressively, okay, to try to collect on this debt. And what does the consumer do? Usually they say, they toss it in the trash, they ignore them. That's when the information becomes judgments and liens, because you're ignoring a debt that you don't owe in the first place. Okay. Then when it turns into a lien or a judgment, now it's a real debt again, and they're going to hold that against you, and now you have to satisfy this debt. And I tell clients all the time, don't ever pay a collector, but don't ever ignore the collector either.
Right.
Issue a validation of debt, because this is somebody knocking at your door saying that you owe some money. Then you need to address it, because if you don't owe it, then you need to let that collector know, hey, listen, I don't owe this debt. So a validation of debt is a legal document that's demanding the original note and telling the collector, show me where I borrowed money from you. Show me the contract that I have, not a copy of the contract, because anybody can have a copy. Show me the original contract that I signed with you where I borrowed this particular money or had this particular service done by you.
Right.
The collector has nothing. So that's where a lot of those liens and judgments come into play. Then you got medical collections. I'm not telling people not to pay their debts, okay, even with the original creditors, but medical collection, pay your debts.
Right.
Okay, but things happen.
Well, in the medical field, it's a whole different ballgame because essentially you could say, all I can afford to pay you is $20 a month, and they have to be cool with that.
Well, they're supposed to be cool with that, but a lot of them
they're all, of course, they're going to try to talk you into paying more.
$1 a month. But see, a medical collection, most hospitals are non-profit, so they have to charge you $30 for an aspirin anyway. They have to show a loss at the end of the year. So most of the time, people say, well, listen, they charge me way too much, so that's why I'm not going to pay this debt. Okay, I tell people, any debt, unsecured debt that is, then let it go. 90 to 180 days. If you can't pay it, you can't pay it. So wait till it charges off. Let's make sure that the original creditors are taken care of. And then we can deal with the collectors with the validation of debt. That goes for medical collections as well. I write these all the time for clients across the country. I say, listen, don't be a deadbeat and just ignore them, because this debt that's not real is going to turn into a real debt if you don't address it. If you read that documentation, it tells you if you wish to dispute the validity of this debt, you should do so within 30 days.
And for the most part, it's not just going to go away, because even in that whole situation, they can sell it to even another company who will start calling you all over again.
It's a lucrative industry. Listen here, I've even thought about abdicating my responsibility as a credit repair specialist, a credit restoration specialist, and saying, listen, I'm going to start buying debt and going after people, because most people don't believe me, first of all, and then they think that, well, I did owe the debt. I said, you did owe the debt. You no longer owe the debt. That's just a collector with a spreadsheet that bought the debt for pennies on the dollar, and they're going to give you 50% off or more, and tell you that all these wonderful things about it's going to raise your credit score, and we're going to take this off your credit, which neither of the two happen. But they're going to tell you all these wonderful things and try to get you to pay. But they've quadrupled their investment right there. They bought it for as much as 3 cents on the dollar. That's about as high as they go, is 3 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
Then they give you a 50% discount, and you're saying Yahoo when you didn't owe anything in the first place.
And some of those deals you can even avoid, because you can make that deal with the original lender before they go ahead and sell that note. They'd love to make a deal with you. If you owe, just for example, $1,000, if you pay all up front $600, it can happen like that, correct?
Yeah, but it doesn't look too great on the credit report, because then it's going to show settled for less than the original amount.
Okay.
And so that's a negative mark, just like a short sale. It's a negative mark because you didn't meet your real obligation, or you didn't fulfill your complete obligation. So you had to do a short sale, or you bought it, you paid off less than what the amount was.
Okay.
So be careful with that as well.
I love what he's saying, and that's awesome to correct him after the fact. But then can we tell consumers as well that maybe you shouldn't be there from the first place? I mean, I understand medical bills. I really do. But when we're talking about $1,000, come on now. Yes, everybody makes bad investment and goes to hell, but not for little monies. I think you shouldn't do that.
A minimal payment on $1,000 is going to be what, $30, $40 a month for a minimal payment on a credit card or something like that. I mean, yes, you are. So
the advice is not to have responsible consumers. It's just that when somebody bad on his luck, they should use William McCorley for this. But for the most part, they really should pay their obligations.
Right. Exactly. No, let me reiterate that once again too. Like I said earlier, I'm not encouraging consumers to not pay their debts. Pay your debts, okay? Don't be a deadbeat. Pay your debts, okay? But if you fall into a certain situation, instead of filing for bankruptcy, which most of the people that file bankruptcy don't have to, okay, because they're filing bankruptcy on debts that are already charged off by the original creditor, okay? And it's just a collector. So you file in bankruptcy because the collector's coming after you, and you say, well, I'm not going to issue a validation of debt. I'm just going to go file bankruptcy.
I mean, yeah, everybody trips and falls and needs help up every once in a while.
That's
so, and then, you be that guy to lend the hand out there, but just don't fall and trip in the hole again.
Yeah, don't keep doing it. Don't abuse the system, even though the system is abusing you.
That's a good point right there.
No, it's not.
No?
No.
You're not digging that?
We're not talking about the system here. Yeah. The system got us here. Look, it's not perfect, but it's near perfection.
Well, nothing's going to be perfect.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen. All right. Again, I want to shout out to Michael Lisinko, our Save Money coach and financial advisor. Text REVIEW to 813-670-7372. Make sure your nest egg is in good hands. I am Anthony Pugliese, filling in for Brandon Rhymes. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the social media jazz. Check out our new and improved website at consumerqb.com. Good way to connect with all of our partners. We'll see you after the break.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley, celebrity TV fitness host and creator of The Spin Gym. I'm here today with Brandon Rhymes, and you're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Great ways to get happy, healthy, and wealthy.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
Welcome back, Consumer Quarterback Show in your ear holes. My name is Anthony Pugliese, filling in for Brandon Rhymes. I'd like to give a shout out to our official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show, the Kipton's Hotel Zamora on beautiful St. Pete Beach. Is the first new hotel built on St. Pete Beach in decades, where Spanish ancestry meets cool Mediterranean attitude. It's a whitewashed Mediterranean palace, and it's got expansive luxury suites, balconies overlooking the Gulf of Mexico. You can enjoy yoga on the weekends, karaoke Thursday nights, or you can just grab a drink and relax on the 360 rooftop that has breathtaking views. So mention you heard them on here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. You can get 10 to 20% off of your room rate, depending on the time of year. Not a bad deal.
10 to 20%.
Yeah,
Wow,
you get a nice little staycation over there. Like I said, they got that whole rooftop going with the bar up there and everything. Real nice, especially around sunset time.
What's with the sunset? And everybody keep mentioning the sunset. I mean, don't
It's
you people
romantic,
see that
Abe.
365 times a year? Why
Well,
is
no.
it so special?
Sometimes you're inside. You're not always on the water.
Oh, my. Okay, well, it happened hundreds of thousands of times in your lifetime. I mean, what is so special about the sunset?
Oh, come on. You never taken your wife out, seen the sunset? That's
Okay,
romantic.
great, once, twice, but then not every freaking day. Everybody talk
Oh,
about
hey,
it.
some of us aren't married. We still got some sunsets left in us.
Oh my! Just saying, guys. Just
Abe already said he's going to disagree with everything we say. So.
yeah, I will too. I will find something.
I tell him you hate the sunshine. He said, "No, I love it."
Well, it's
Man,
good
those
for the
sunsets are
crops.
so awesome.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
All right, just in case you don't know, we are here with Abe Moussa and William Crowley, and I'm going to talk to Abe a little bit now. Abe, your story has always fascinated me. You know, American dream, pretty much the epiphany of it. You came over, you opened up a business, it became successful, and you moved on to what now is, well, you didn't really move on because you still have the restaurant.
Yes, I do.
And, you know, you do the Total Title Solutions now. What made you decide that you wanted to go from owning a restaurant to getting into title work?
Just owning a restaurant is just a business, but the title work, believe it or not, it was a personal experience. I went to close with this title company. I couldn't get in there until early in the morning or late in the afternoon, and it was just would not accommodate me.
Okay.
So I wanted to pull out of the deal, and then they decided they're going to accommodate me at another time. And when I got there, they shoved the paperwork in my face, and there you go, and left. So I said, hell with you guys. I'll start my own. I could do a better job than you. And I did.
To me, a big part of when I do anything, whether it's buying something small to making a purchase like a house or something like that, I want to know that the people I'm dealing with are personable, that they can understand maybe where I'm coming from, and I can understand where they're coming from. I could feel like they're a real person rather than just robot here, like you said, throwing the paper at you, sign it and get out.
But I don't think that's exactly. I don't think that's fair. Just because you've been doing that job for a very long time, you should not be jaded or cynical toward the person that buy or sell a house for the first time in their life.
Right.
And they don't give you that much time. We assume again, okay, William was talking about consumers. Some consumers, yes, are really not good consumers, but that's the minority of them. The majority of the consumers, and that's what makes us run. I mean, keeps us running. Is they're good people. They're just misinformed. Of course, I don't like even the word that earlier you guys used. Stupid question is the reason. It's just misinformed because we don't do this day in, day out. And I feel that we as professionals have a fiducial obligation and responsibilities to protect your money and help you.
I feel like everybody in this room right now is doing what they love to do. Besides, obviously, any money or anything like that, I know that I love doing what I'm doing. And it makes me have no problem spreading my wisdom to somebody. Like you're saying, people are coming in for the first time. They're buying their first house. They've just gone through this whole huge experience of finding the house, of getting finance, of everything else like that. And they're getting ready for closing.
It's nerve-wracking.
They're going to have questions. They're not going to know the process because they've never done it before. And
even if you've done it before, it's not like you're buying a burger every day. Even if you've done it before, you forget and things change. Like 7, 8, 9 years later, things have changed. There is always question, and consumers or people that are buying or selling should not fear retaliation or some sort of a stupid answer because they asked the question that the other person is so cynical about their job.
Right. If I have 3 questions for you, and the first question I ask you, make me sound like I'm inferior or like essentially less intelligent because I don't know your line of work. Exactly. I don't know that process. If I ask you that first question, I had 3 questions and I feel lower after asking the first question. Why am I going to ask the next 2?
Anthony, the way we've done things differently than most companies in any business, by the way, and it's not about the restaurant, the title, or other businesses I have. It's about consumer and product and everything else in between. But the point behind helping the customers, okay, is that it should not be the customer's fault or the consumer's fault because we're busy. Right? Like I've always had this argument with my staff, and it's like, okay, so William wants to close at 9 o'clock. Oh, William, I'm sorry, we cannot close at 9 o'clock because we're booked. How is that his fault again? So you're going to punish William for your success? That's kind of stupid. It's like, all right, well, let's get some more people in. So we continue on staffing our company so William does not have to be basically told, no, we cannot do it because we're too successful for you. We're never going to get to that point.
All right, and that makes him feel like his business isn't as important as the other person's business.
And it shouldn't be, yes.
I completely agree with that. And
there's another thing, like it's I've changed the idea, or I changed yeah, you're right, William. I would disagree with almost anyone how it works. So
I disagree.
Yes, I do. So there was a notion one time is that we need to close at your house, let's say, or outside our office. And the closers at the time, this is when I first began with the company, they were going to charge the customer $150 extra for going. It's called mobile closing. I said, but hold on. Like, why are you doing that? Well, we have to send somebody to do it. I said, because of our inability as a company not to have a corner office in every corner, that we're going to punish the consumer for going to his house?
Because somebody has to meet with them that they should have been doing already anyway.
Yes, or because I don't have an office in every corner like, I'm Scott or somebody else, so I'm going to punch the kid. I said, no, don't charge them. Well, you know how much money you're going to lose? It's like, yeah, I do. But you know how much our business grew? We got 7 offices. We're about to add the 8th one now. And we grew to the 10th largest in the state of Florida. I don't know anything about title.
Well, it's a great attitude to have because let's say, just throwing out a number out there, you lose $100 because you have to go do that on 5 different deals. But you pick up 2 more deals because people see that you're willing to work with them. They want somebody who's going to make their life easier, that's going to make that closing process easier. And, John over here tells me, I worked with Abe and they really worked with me on my time schedule and made my life easier when it came time to closing. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to get a house too. I'm going to go to Abe.
Well, you know what? Earlier, we were talking about these people that lost $458,000 in one
beat them to it.
But the fact of the matter is, if we gave the consumer the time to ask their questions and they don't feel the repercussion of, like you said, am I asking the stupid question or I feel inferior, they probably would have explained the process to them and said, hey, you know what, you should really order a search. It may help you a lot. Don't be sometime, penny foolish and dollar foolish and however the damn thing is. Help me out here. So anyway, what I'm saying is spend the money to save the big money instead of saving $150 and you lost $458,000. I mean, that was really what was out in the paper, and William, everybody read about it, right?
Yeah, and just because it's not mechanical, like for example with a car, you get an oil change done so you don't mess up your engine. You pay the $25 now to make sure you don't have to pay $3,000 later.
Right.
And on a larger scale, it's essentially what you're just talking about right now.
Furthermore, I want to do this, and this is something I've always, of course, disagreed, William, with consumers. Like, I've always really disagreed with this. When you're talking about a large financial statement like this, or anything to do with financial, whether it's my financial advisor or buying a house or repairing credit, I want somebody that has an office, that has employees, that has skin in the game, that's not going to just pack up his stuff and leave tomorrow when things goes bad. I want to hold these people responsible.
Right.
So just to my surprise, sometime people will spend all kind of money online with somebody they never touched. It's like, what is the matter with you people? Come on, you can't do that. You can't. And I'm not saying the people behind that phone in a different state, they're not trustworthy, but they don't have as much skin in the game. You don't have that much recourses from it. If I get up and leave tomorrow, if I'm working out of my van, I'll just drive my van to another place. You're not going to find me.
Right.
So this is why I always say to consumers is like, you want to do business with somebody, go to a brick and mortar business. We're not talking retail. We're not talking Amazon here. We're talking your financial future. Please go to somebody that you can talk to and survey their location. Do they have employees or are they a sole proprietor?
Right.
That's a big question.
And I know I'm bringing up cars apparently a lot, even though I'm not even huge into the cars, but it's the same thing. You go to buy a car, you want to test drive it before you do. You're making an even bigger purchase here and people aren't test driving.
Well, I have one further for you on this one. A friend of mine called me. He's a cop, intelligent guy, 4 years degree. Calls me up and says, I'm buying this car from Virginia, but I'm not sure, how to do the transaction. And I was like, well, how do you know these people's going to send you the car when you send them the money? He's asking me about wire. It's like, I don't know. I said, well, I have a solution for you on this one. First of all, you shouldn't fucking do it. Fly there and go there. But if you must, really, I said, let me hold the money in escrow for you. Okay. And we'll tell the car people to send us the title. We'll hold the title and the money in escrow until we get the car and we'll release the money in the transaction.
Right.
And that's really another way of doing it. But I cannot believe you're buying a car you haven't seen and out of state and you're going to wire them the money.
That doesn't make any sense to me either.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but then again, we in the age of this technology now, social media and everything. 'Cause I do my credit restoration in all 50 states around the country. So I'd say over 70, 80% of my clients I don't even see. So, I see what you're saying, Abe, but I always disagree. Me and Abe always disagree with each other since we've been known each other for the last 5 minutes. but I mean,
this long, beautiful relationship of disagreeing with each other.
Right. But, like I said, that's my business. I do it with, I don't even see most of my clients because I don't need to see the clients. I need to see the credit report. So that's what I'm working on. Is the credit report.
But what's the risk of doing business with you? $500, $1,000,
right,
whatever that risk. But when we're talking $458,000, that's a huge risk.
Do your research.
Right?
Yeah, like the guy with the car. He didn't get the car, though, right? Oh.
What?
Did he get the car?
Not yet. We're going to fly on Monday.
Oh, okay. So you convinced them to actually go look at it.
God, yeah.
All right. Police officer that's real smart.
Gotcha.
No, he really is a smart, but that's the point, is there is no such thing as a stupid thing, just misinformed. He's an intelligent guy, right?
Yeah.
He just did not understand the whole thing and is a bit more trusting.
All right. Well, coming up next in our feel-good segment, we have a story about one police officer who went above and beyond the call of duty for a child in need. Make sure you hear this great story when we come back, as well as our top 10 list, the top 10 best-selling infomercial products of all time. Make sure you check us out. This is Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back, Consumer Quarterback Show. I am Anthony Pugliese, filling in for Brandon Rhymes. He is out on vacation right now. This segment here is sponsored by our partner, Signature Massage and Facial Spa. If you're looking for a place to get a massage or facial at an affordable price, but without having to sign up for a membership, you can look no further than Signature Massage and Facial Spa. They offer a 1-hour Swedish massage for $49.95 always with no contract. You can come in during early bird hours and even receive an additional $10 off. There you'll receive a professional massage at a great price. And that's for those muscles, and knots that need extra work. Ask about getting a deep tissue or sports massage. If skincare is what you're looking for, they have amazing facial and microderm packages. So check out Signature Massage and Facial Spa. It's at 11248 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa, 33635. Or call 813-925-8898 to schedule an appointment today. Again, let me fill you in case you're just tuning in. I am Anthony Pugliese here with Abraham Moussa and William Crowley. We've had a lot of good discussions today, but I want to take a break here and tell you about a police officer who went above and beyond the call of duty for a child in need for our Tell Me Something Good segment. All right. So in 2015, a police officer, Jody Thompson, said he was pulling into the parking lot of work when he got a call of child abuse. Okay. He said, I thought I would respond to the call with on-duty officers to see if I could give any kind of assistance. It was at that moment when Thompson arrived that he met his future son, actually. He responded with quite a bit of emotion when asked at what point he knew he would never leave the 8-year-old's side. He said, when I see him in that house, I knew. So Police Chief Stephen Froon explained what happened in the child abuse case. Based on some of the case facts, when we found him, he was bound by his hands and feet with rope and had been submerged in a trash can and held in a shower. They weren't feeding him. He didn't have much to eat. I don't think that he did get to eat anywhere but at school, and he had bruises from head to toe. So investigators said the little boy was taken to the hospital by Officer Thompson, who stayed with him the entire time he was in the intensive care unit. And the rest is kind of history, Thompson said. Thompson and his wife adopted John Thompson and gave him a life where they say he excels. That you would think that would be enough, but actually they heard that he had a sister born by his same birth mother gave birth to a little girl, and they actually adopted his sister as well. So that's our feel-good story of the day.
And you're giving me a goosebump here. I'm glad you're saying that story on the air because the cops lately getting a lot of bad rap, so we need some good ones.
Right. There was another story that I just heard about that just happened here, and locally, I believe it was, where it may not have been locally, so I shouldn't say that.
Doesn't matter as long as they're police officer because there's a lot of good ones.
There was a bunch of people in the neighborhood having a party. They set up a slip and slide on the road. Have you heard this yet? And essentially, a bunch of kids and stuff are having the party going on the slip and slide. Well, somebody called and said that they were blocking the road. Cops came, saw they weren't blocking the road, and not only did they leave them alone, they joined in. They got on the slip and slide with them.
That's great. I mean, those are great stories. And
do you know how good that looks? So good to children because the children are like, wow, these are real people. You know what I mean? I don't have to be scared of them. And I know a lot of times when I was growing up, not that I was scared of an officer of the law, but anytime you did something wrong, your parents gave you that threat. Do you want to go to jail for that? You want me to call the cops on you? You know what I mean?
Man, I would sue your parent for abuse. That's abuse. Man, you can't. They can't tell you that. No, listen. I'm glad you're touching on the cops, but I happen to be friends with many of them. I grew up here. I grew up among them. The jobs that I've had, it always kind of dragged me around that scene. And man, I am sorry to hear that. The lack of respect for law enforcement, because I as a foreigner or as someone that was not born here, I would want you to know life without it. I can't imagine life without police officer or laws or law and order on any street, despite of all the negative press that the cops have had lately.
Well, it's unfortunate that the negative,
I think it's the media.
Outshines. The small amount of negative outshines the positive, and like you said, William, the media has a lot to do with it. A story like that about the cops joining in on a slip and slide isn't as big as the story of a cop beating down somebody who didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so now let's get into our top 10 list.
Uh-oh.
All right, so I'm gonna make you guess this. It's the top 10 best-selling infomercial products of all time, according to Richest.com. Abe, I'm going to start with you.
Good.
I didn't get a chance to Google it.
That's why I'm going to start with you. William looked a little scared over there, and I saw you getting your phone ready, so I wanted to hit you up first.
My Lord. 10 top infomercial. Well, I don't watch much TV, but that Foreman guy, I don't know, he was selling a grill or something.
George Foreman. The George
yes.
Foreman grill is number 4 on the list.
See, there you go.
That's all there is to it.
With an annual revenue of $202 million.
For that grill.
Well, it doesn't cost $202 million. That's what they're making
No,
per
but they
year.
sold that. Oh, wow.
Yep, former heavyweight boxing champion George Foreman invented the George Foreman grill. Well, he didn't really invent it, but he put his name behind it.
Yeah,
Foreman lent his name to inventors of the
Why
lean,
you guys
mean,
being
fat-reducing
hater,
grilling machine.
Yeah, they came to me first, and I turned it down.
Yeah, right.
Whoops.
Yeah.
All right, William.
Oh,
Don't make me budge you.
I did Google. Let's see. No, I don't know. I didn't even
Come
give
on,
much thought.
infomercials.
I was
Everybody's
too busy
had them
disagreeing
nights
with
when you
Abe.
couldn't
See,
sleep.
what can okay,
real
go.
estate, I guess. I don't know. Real estate infomercials. They got the guys there.
That's not even a specific one.
How'd
I'm
you
buzzing
get
you
that
on
out
that.
of that, William? Of course I'm going to
Google
disagree
like-
with you on that
Google
one.
like you did, so
All right, Abe, give me a right
infomercials.
answer.
On what?
We'll give him an extra minute to think about the next one.
Oh,
Give me a
another infomercial for real?
Best selling infomercial products.
I don't know, Rogaine?
Rogaine, I don't know that was necessarily ever a
Let me
thing.
get that buzz.
They had back in the day. They had the spray for the hair.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay,
I know that was a big one.
I know. Flex thing, that thing that fixes everything from boats.
The
to
Flex Seal. I think it's too new, so it wasn't on this list.
Okay.
I'm not going to leave you alone on the buzz.
Abe,
Don't
so
worry.
Abe got 2 and I got 1.
No, I got one. The other one was wrong.
He got one. You got none. All right.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I don't even watch infomercials. I mean, I heard about what's that thing that they do on that show thing that I don't know.
It's cold
Clothing?
outside. It was real big a couple years ago. I'm giving you a big hint for number 8.
A coat? I don't know, man.
All right, I'm gonna round up the top 10 here. Okay,
Go ahead.
Number 10 is the Thigh Master with total sales of $100 million. Remember with Suzanne Summers?
Seriously, no.
All right.
Okay.
Number 9. I know you got to remember number 9. Sweating to the Oldies.
And even
with
if
Richard
I did know, I
Simmons.
wouldn't admit to
Yeah.
that one, by the way.
I was gonna say exercising too.
Number 8 that I was trying to give you the hint to is the Snuggie. Total sales approximately $400 million. It's the blanket with the sleeves.
I think I have one of those. No,
Yeah,
just
you
kidding.
probably,
I
well,
have
your
no idea
wife
what
probably
that
has it, right?
20 years.
Number 7 is the Pet Egg, an infomercial that actually made me sick because I don't like
The
feet
Pet
at
Egg?
all. Pet Egg. It's
What?
essentially a cheese grater for your feet. Is the best way to
Seriously,
describe
I
it.
don't know what you're talking about. You're
Why is
making
it
me
killing
sound
me?
like a phone or more. What is it again?
Pet Egg. You grab this thing, you have it on your feet, and you scrape the dead skin off your feet
Go right
to make
ahead.
them soft. Yeah, it's
I move on.
no good. All right, number 6, the Showtime rotisserie. No. Number 5 was the Bowflex. No, nothing. 4 you got with the George Foreman grill. 3
Nice.
is the Total Gym. Chuck Norris.
I said exercising, didn't I?
No, you didn't. You didn't say anything.
Number 2, P90X. See, I can't accept exercising. That's too broad of a term. And then number 1, Proactive. I know you've heard of that. The face stuff.
No.
Wow.
I just heard about proactive by my Kuma.
See, these guys are so busy that they don't even watch TV. They don't know nothing about this.
Not infomercials.
Proof that they are stuck in their trade, for sure.
Hey, we're asleep at that time.
That too. Yes, it is too late in the night.
Infomercial.
All right, I know Brandon likes to do lightning round. I'll throw one out you real quick. We got a minute to go.
The lightning round.
That's all you get. I'm not playing the whole thing. William Crowley.
proactive. I want my consumers to be proactive.
I love it. What a tie-in.
Being proactive, knowing about the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Read the Fair Credit Reporting Act out there, folks. Be proactive, okay? I'm tired of hearing consumers are victims all the time. A lot of times consumers make themselves victims by not going out and pursuing the free knowledge that's readily available.
That's a good point. And Abe,
I'm going to tag on to the proactive as well and say, please do your homework, ask more questions, do your research before you invest in buying and or selling a property.
Great. That's going to do it for us today. I am Anthony Pugliese filling in for Brandon Rhymes. Make sure you check out our website to find out all about our consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Enjoy tranquil seclusion in an eco-lover's paradise. Paddling through the mangroves where the only sounds you'll hear are the sounds of nature. Because you deserve to relax on vacation, visit Pasco County, Florida.